In the eerie darkness of the goblin cave, Wu Jin stands, his heart pounding with exhilaration and determination. As the skeleton stands over the lifeless goblin that lies at his feet, disappointment etched on his Wu Jin's face as it failed to live up to his expectations of a true adversary for use as his main attack. Surveying the remains of fallen players hung and piled upon the tree, he reminds himself that monsters exist to harm humans, reinforcing the need for mercifulness in dealing with them. He knows there must be something more challenging lurking in the depths, something worthy of being his main target. As night descends upon the group, our MC arrived with gather around the flickering campfire, their hearts heavy with fear and uncertainty. Ju-sub's terror reaches a crescendo, and he cries out in terror, fearing the nightmarish fate that awaits them. But to their astonishment, notifications of level-ups begin to appear behind him. They realize that even without actively fighting, their strength is growing, and they owe it all to Wu Jin's skillful survival. A glimmer of hope sparks within them, and Ju-seub is left bewildered by this mysterious twist of fate. Meanwhile, deep inside the goblin cave, Wu Jin has ingeniously devised a plan. He barricades the entrance with logs, explaining that this is the most effective way to eliminate the goblins. With a deft toss of a torch, the logs catch fire, enveloping the goblins in a thick cloud of smoke. Some attempt to escape, but the flaming blockade foils their efforts. Panic-stricken and helpless, the goblins succumb to the suffocating fumes, their agonizing screams echoing throughout the cavern. From a safe distance, Wu Jin observes with a sly smile, fully confident in his deadly strategy. An alert from the status window pops up in front of Wu Jin announcing that the agent of the dark world is pleased with his cruel tactics. As the aftermath of his brutal tactics unfolds, Wu Jin's mind wanders, longing for the sight of someone's face, though he guards the identity in secrecy. Thoughts of finding a new hiding spot and contemplating his next moves swirl in his mind. Suddenly, the ground trembles, and a colossal goblin emerges from the depths of the cave. Wu Jin's initial relief transforms into sheer excitement. This towering creature is the goblin champion, the adversary he has been eagerly awaiting. His demeanor shifts, his eyes gleaming with a fierce determination as he prepares himself for the epic showdown. This battle will be the ultimate test of Wu Jin's cunning and prowess as he faces the monstrous goblin champion head-on, ready to embrace the thrill of the fight and claim victory in this heart-pounding encounter. In the heart-pounding moment, the Messiah Guild teeters on the edge of intervention, but Wu Jin raises his hand, pulling his sword from his inventory. He reveals the dire truth about the dreaded champion lurking within the dungeon, a merciless entity that had claimed the lives of countless rookies, leaving a trail of certain death in its wake. Driven by a fierce determination to prevent further casualties, Wu Jin makes a brave decision. He will take matters into his own hands. Leaning against a tree, Wu Jin's eyes lock onto the formidable skeleton champion, its fighting stance signaling a readiness for battle. With lightning speed, the skeleton darts forward, maneuvering between the champion's legs, and strikes with precision at its heel. A familiar technique from a past encounter with a giant monster flashes in Wu Jin's memory, a tactic he had once instructed his comrades to employ. The champion buckles to its knees, and Wu Jin's astute observation leads him to a remarkable revelation. The skeleton is mirroring his fighting style, drawing strength from his magical abilities. Enthralled by this unexpected partnership, he playfully christens the skeleton Skelly Bones as he begins to explain the intricacies of their unique teamwork. But before he can delve deeper into the connection, a sudden alert from a status window interrupts him, announcing the agent of the dark world, congratulating our MC, and gifts him with the acquisition of a legendary rank to skill. Wu Jin's excitement soars as he immerses himself in the newfound power he now possesses. The scene transitions outside the dungeon, where jubilant cheers fill the air as news spreads that the dungeon has been conquered. Eager faces rush to the gate, eager to welcome back the triumphant heroes. But as they emerge, A manager's bewilderment is evident in the speed of their success and the reduced number of survivors. Concern grips the crowd as they wonder about Wu Jin's fate, fearing the worst. Just as worry begins to cloud their thoughts, a shout echoes through the crowd, announcing the hero's arrival. In utter astonishment, onlookers witness Wu Jin emerging from the depths of the dungeon. Brushing aside their questions, he strides through the closing gate, leaving them in awe of his incredible feat. The concerned manager hurries to catch up, while Juseob can't help but marvel at how Wu Jin managed to conquer the daunting dungeon all alone. Curiosity swells about the enigmatic hero's true identity, adding an air of mystery to this thrilling tale. In the electrifying world of breaking news, a triumphant report sends waves of excitement through the Messiah Guild's sponsors' stock group as they celebrate Se-jun Lee's latest dungeon triumph on the 5th floor. Meanwhile, Juseo, feeling disheartened by the public's perception of players as greedy, seeks refuge on Tinder, hoping to escape the harsh reality. At the bar, a compassionate man strikes up a conversation, genuinely curious about Juseob's recent dungeon adventure. Juseob recounts his harrowing near-death experience after saving the newbie, grumbling about his bandaged head and proudly narrating how he valiantly leaped in to save Wu Jin from impending danger. The man then tries comforting Juseob by suggesting to spread a false narrative about Wu Jin, so he will become restricted. In another corner of the city, Wu Jin stands resolute in his decision to remain low-key this time, knowing he must become stronger before drawing any attention to himself. Diving deep into his detective work, Wu Jin unravels a cryptic note hinting at the existence of an orc hunter. Determined, he ventures into an office building, eager to participate in the orc dungeon. The men at the table discuss the rumors surrounding Wu Jin, but he dismisses them, stressing his need for money. Despite their concerns, they offer him a loan, yet Wu Jin adamantly chooses to enter the dungeon instead. After the meeting, the two men delve into conversation about Wu Jin, acknowledging there may be some truth behind the rumors. They talk about Yangju, a rising star whose party tragically perished in a dungeon. Opting to support Wu Jin seeing as he's trying to enter that same said dungeon, they decide to take a gamble on Wu Jin and closely observe how he fares. Wu Jin comprehends that in order to destroy a hero, he must forge an alliance with the villains. As he arrives at the dungeon's location, a manager questions if he's alone, labeling him a loner, but still guides him to the entrance, half astonished by his determination. Inside the gate, Wu Jin, displaying his status window, scrutinizes his stats, fully aware of the formidable challenge that awaits him. He devises a brilliant plan to defeat one orc and transform it into a skeleton to aid him in his treacherous journey through the dungeon. Suddenly, an orc lunges at Wu Jin from behind, but with astonishing skill, he gracefully slides beneath its legs, executing a dance-like move and precisely slashing at its limbs. The orc's tough hide proves resilient, sustaining minimal damage from the attack, and Wu Jin realizes that a direct strike from the orc's power would have meant his demise. He strategizes quickly, formulating a plan to convert the orc into a skeleton. Locked in a tense stare-down, the orc takes another swing at Wu Jin, but he artfully dodges the attack, incurring minor injuries as he barely dodged the aftermath rubble that scraped his face. Wu Jin swiftly maneuvers behind the orc, then darts towards its heels, targeting the previous wound with relentless strikes. He moves in front of the orc, rendering it unable to retaliate, and slices at its legs until blood gushes forth. The orc collapses to its knees, and Wu Jin taunts it, emphasizing that without its legs, it's nothing but a pitiful creature. In one final, swift move, Wu Jin impales the orc's head, and a status window materializes, notifying him that the skeleton soldier has been summoned, marking the beginning of an epic battle for survival. The scene shifts to a dimly lit hidden room. Two men, their faces masked with intrigue, engage in a mysterious conversation. The first man, eyes fixated on a clipboard, earns a playful jab from his companion, who teases him as a charming weirdo. As he hands the clipboard to the second man, their eyes widen as they stumble upon astounding information about Wu Jin, a daring newbie who astonishingly cleared a dungeon all by himself. Perplexed, the second man ponders how such a fresh-faced adventurer managed such an extraordinary feat. The first man proposes a daring theory that Wu Jin might have ventured into his second dungeon solo, but the idea is swiftly brushed aside as mere fake news. Their intense discussion is suddenly interrupted by the arrival of a confident and authoritative woman, Se-jun, questioning the authenticity of her report. The second man's pulse quickens as he realizes that Secretary Lee must have compiled the impeccable report. He can't resist asking about the source of her high-quality information. Brimming with confidence, she claims the work as her own, eliciting admiration from the first man, who declares that if it's from Lee, it's unquestionably trustworthy. In a light-hearted moment, as the first man glimpses down, he notices the empty opened instant coffee packets left on the coffee tray as he humorously points out the instant coffee packets to Lee, expressing how he doesn't like it. Unperturbed, Secretary Lee teasingly quickly defends herself, explaining that she used reusable paper for her report, turning the teasing man into an adoring Bunda admirer of her resourcefulness. Amidst playful banter, the topic shifts as their conversation then takes a serious turn, focusing on the progress of purchasing dungeons. Secretary Lee suggests a few promising options, igniting sparks of ambition and excitement. The blond man eagerly inquires about their other dungeons, and the bald man hints at his friend's imminent entry into one of them. The bald man offers valuable advice, cautioning against resting for too long, emphasizing the perils of complacency in their adventurous world. Back in the treacherous dungeon, Wu Jin stands resolute, fearlessly facing a horde of menacing orcs. Observing the limited durability of his skeleton soldiers, he draws upon knowledge gained from John Jorg in his past life. With a swift and skillful motion, he converts more fallen orcs into powerful skeleton soldiers, instilling dread in the hearts of the remaining foes. Wu Jin unveils a stunning revelation. As long as he has mana, the number of soldiers he commands will always match the sacrifices on the battlefield, a testament to his formidable prowess. As he levels up, Wu Jin is pleasantly surprised to witness his poison blood skill advancing rapidly. Strategically aware that further leveling up in this location won't be as fruitful, he shifts his focus to a new challenge, pinpointing the location of the elusive orc hunter. Engrossed in thought, he draws intricate markings in the dirt, eliminating potential hiding spots for the hunter. A curious skeleton peers over his shoulder, looking puzzled, only adding to the enigma of this daring adventure. Wu Jin's mind races with determination, yet also wary of only having one skeleton soldier at his disposal, formulating a cunning plan that hinges on the hunter's location. A plan that will define the course of this perilous journey. In a different part of the dungeon, a group of orcs stirs with restless energy. One of the orcs drags another, a clear sign of impending action and encounters that lie ahead. The stage is set for an enthralling tale of courage, wit, and perilous adventure as our MC face the unknown in this mysterious and fantastical world. Wu Jin, like a shadow in the darkness, stealthily observes from his concealed position. The orc hunter, a sinister figure, commits a gruesome act, turning the lifeless orc into what he chillingly refers to as a meat crayon, using its body to paint the dungeon floors. Fully aware of the danger, Wu Jin knows confronting this formidable dungeon boss head-on is a perilous path without a well-devised plan. His mind races, formulating a strategy that hinges on using his poisoned arrow, hoping it might be the key to victory. With a firm nod to Skelly, his loyal skeleton companion, Wu Jin sends him out into the open, successfully capturing the orc hunter's attention. The two adversaries clash in a ferocious battle, exchanging bone-chilling blows. Amidst the intensity, the hunter sinks its teeth into Skelly, and Wu Jin discerns the hunter's true identity from the savage look in its eyes, realizing that targeting its thick skin directly would be futile. Swiftly, he takes aim and shoots an arrow, aiming at the hunter's eye, successfully piercing it. Though the orc hunter manages to remove the arrow, the poison's malevolent effects swiftly take hold. Wu Jin calmly explains to Skelly that the weaker the area attacked, the faster the poison spreads. Gradually, the hunter's health depletes, and it eventually falls to its knees. Wu Jin remarks that the poison won't be fatal, but it's a strategic advantage that weakens the fearsome opponent. In a final, decisive strike, Skelly delivers the killing blow, putting an end to the orc hunter's malevolent existence. A window status alerts our MC of him defeating the orc hunter, clearing the dungeon, and leveling up. After dealing with the orc hunter, Wu Jin carefully examines the remains of its victims. He kicks them with suspicion, noticing an injury that doesn't fit the hunter's typical attack style. The injury bears the signature of a skilled assassin, a revelation that confirms Wu Jin is on the right track. Time, unfortunately, is not on his side to get closer to the murderer, but he remains hopeful that he can uncover valuable clues to aid him in his pursuit of Yanwan Park. His attention is drawn to a glimmering object in a nearby cave, entreating him to investigate further. As he cautiously enters the cave, he stumbles upon a skeleton adorned in armor and holding a strangely clean weapon. It becomes evident that this skeleton once belonged to a rising star from the Phoenix Guild, who cunningly remained hidden while his allies fell victim to the orc hunter's merciless attack. Beside the bones, Wu Jin discovers a seemingly inconspicuous book and dismisses it at first, believing it holds no significant information. However, upon closer inspection, he makes a surprising realization. It's a blacklist belonging to the Yanwan faction. The magnitude of this discovery dawns on Wu Jin, realizing the immense potential usefulness of this newfound information in his quest. His mind races with possibilities, strategizing how this newfound treasure could turn the tide in his relentless pursuit of justice. A status window alerts Wu Jin of the agent of the dark world, once again congratulating our MC on his achievements, and sends him a legendary rank skill called the Eye of Anubis. A mysterious aura envelopes the room as Wu Jin, elated by unlocking the legendary rank skill, gains the power to delve into the memories of the deceased. Fueled by curiosity, he places his hands on the skeleton's head, activating the skill. Shadows dance around his eyes as a brilliant beam of light flows into the skeleton's vacant sockets, triggering a vivid flashback of its past memories. In this haunting flashback, Wu Jin silently observes the skeleton's recollections, a visceral journey through the stress and anguish it endured over the loss of its allies and its involvement in heinous acts, collaborating with the nefarious Phoenix Guild to mercilessly slaughter innocent humans. Deactivating the skill, Wu Jin is left perplexed and admits that the experience was far from pleasant, consuming a significant amount of mana. Nonetheless, he feels emboldened, equipped with this new information that places him in a formidable position. The scene transitions to a man being brutally beaten, desperate for another chance after someone else cleared a dungeon. Meanwhile, the powerful Park Yanwan peruses a newspaper article featuring Wu Jin and seeks insight from his secretary. She reveals Wu Jin's history of daring raids and the swirling rumors about his perceived greediness. As they discuss, Yanwan is informed that Wu Jin has arrived to see him. In another scene, two dungeon managers strategize the allocation of slots, grappling with the challenge of finding suitable candidates. They receive a notification that Yanwan personally requested Wu Jin to be placed in a dungeon group. The managers interpret this as Yanwan recognizing Wu Jin's extraordinary talents and viewing him as an undeniable trump card. Back in Yanwan's opulent office, his secretary dares to question why he accepted Wu Jin's proposal. Yanwan's eyes sparkle with amusement as he reveals that it was merely entertaining to witness Wu Jin presenting the blacklist book. He regards Wu Jin as a pawn, a piece he can manipulate and dispose of at his convenience amidst this dangerous game. In a revealing flashback, Yang Wan holds the book, scrutinizing Wu Jin's intentions and suspecting an attempt at blackmail. However, Wu Jin surprises him, countering with a daring plan to enter the treacherous A+ dungeon. Fully aware of the extreme danger that lies within, Yang Wan chuckles, amused by the audacity of Wu Jin's proposal. He agrees to the plan, but only under a single mysterious condition, leaving the audience craving to unveil the enigma behind this thrilling quest. Upon arriving to the Jiangwu University seminar hall buzzes with anticipation as Wu Jin sits intently, absorbing every detail from the gripping dungeon report being presented. The speaker's words unveil the grim reality of the forthcoming challenge. An immense horde of over 1,000 orcs, accompanied by a formidable orc champion. The past trials had only seen 70 out of 150 participants survive such a daunting attack. Despite the current participants being elite players, Wu Jin's sharp instincts lead him to suspect foul play. He can't shake the feeling that the deaths were not solely caused by the monstrous creatures. In his gut, he senses that the victims were likely murdered for their valuable items, orchestrations possibly linked to none other than Se-jun himself. The prize for slaying the orc champion is none other than the coveted orc fang, the very item Se-jun obtained in his previous life. Drawing from his wealth of knowledge from the past, Wu Jin meticulously devises a strategy to predict the Messiah Guild's next move, should Se-jun be involved in the killings. He reasons that the Messiah Guild might not have directly acted, but instead employed a cunning spy from another guild to carry out the sinister deeds. With steely determination in his eyes, his primary goal is clear: to claim the orc champion's loot before anyone else. Outside the dungeon's imposing gate, a diverse assembly of skillful players from various guilds, both big and small, stands in tense readiness. The Messiah Guild members take the front line, exuding an air of confidence as they brace themselves to confront the fearsome orc champion. As the tense battle commences, a stalwart man steps forward, wielding a massive shield, taunting the menacing orc to attack him as he activates his provocation skill. The orc responds with a mighty strike, causing the tank to stagger backward. In retaliation, a skilled mage weaves powerful spells, conjuring magical vines that ensnare the orc, eliciting desperate screams as it struggles to break free. Amidst the fray, the ground trembles with ominous rumbling, spreading unease among the players. The stampede of orcs charges toward them, setting the scene for a chaotic and perilous confrontation. Some players find themselves overwhelmed by the onslaught, while resourceful casters send rocks hurtling towards the encroaching orcs. The Messiah Guild rallies, forging a formidable front line. Meanwhile, hidden atop a towering tree, Wu Jin observes the unfolding pandemonium with a calm demeanor. The opportune moment has arrived for him to execute his meticulously crafted plan. Knowing that he can vanish without a trace, he readies himself to make his decisive move amidst the chaos, determined to outwit any adversaries and seize the orc champion's loot for himself. The stakes are high, but Wu Jin's determination and cunning are equally matched, setting the stage for an enthralling and suspenseful turn of events. The stage is set for a thrilling showdown as Wu Jin sets out to claim the ultimate prize amidst the chaos and danger of the A-ranked dungeon's treacherous depths.